to argue at any given second.
We talked for a long time, so it's not like he didn't know my name.
She stayed gone for 3 months with this other man.
You were over there with your daughter's boyfriend.
It's a fake, Your Honor. That is a fraud.
After we already had slept together.
Take a breath.
I told him, I called him, I said, I think I might be pregnant. He said, ha, ha, ha.
I appreciate what he did, but I'm the only man that them girls need in their life.
Miss England is in court with Mr. Kaiser, asserting that after 6 years and 1 child together, he's now denying their 6-month-old Isaac, attributing it to actions during a separation. While Miss England claims consistent support for Mr. Kaiser, he firmly believes another man fathered Isaac due to her actions during their break.
Ms. England, you say that you and Mr. Kaiser have been together for 6 years, have a 3-year-old son together, but claim he's now denying your 6-month-old son Isaac, and you're here to prove that he is the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Kaiser, you acknowledge 1 child with Miss England, but say Isaac is not yours. You say that during your separation from Miss England, she slept with another man, and you are 100% sure he is the father.
Mr. Kaiser, while acknowledging a previous relationship with Miss England and her subsequent pregnancy, steadfastly denies paternity of the child, associating it with another man during their separation. Miss England, however, denies cheating and shows frustration with his accusations, while Mr. Kaiser provides an opposing narrative suggesting prior infidelity.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Kaiser. The whole time she was pregnant and you accepted her back, you're thinking the whole time, and she's pregnant by another man, or were you thinking this could potentially be my child as well?
I didn't think it was my child, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
I didn't think it was my child. I always thought it was the other man's child. I can't take care of another man's baby, Your Honor. Especially the man she was cheating on me with.
I was not cheating. I never wanted to.
She said she wasn't cheating on me, right? But she had the other man's phone number.
Tensions rise as Mr. Kaiser questions how another man had Miss England's number, implying infidelity. England cites consistent arguing and a lack of care from Kaiser as reasons for seeking attention elsewhere, emphasizing her physical and emotional exhaustion from work and feeling neglect. Both experience communication breakdowns, reflecting a strained relationship.
Why was you texting your phone? How you have your phone number?
Why weren't you taking care of me?
We was arguing all the time during that time.
Exactly.
You all still arguing now. I can't even get a word in. So there obviously was a breakdown in the relationship.
Right.
Yes.
And you ended up breaking up completely.
Yes, and the only reason that I left him, Your Honor, is because the other man was paying more attention than he was.
Miss England outlines a timeline, highlighting intimacy with another man on March 25th, and then with Mr. Kaiser from the 28th onwards, believing the conception date to be March 30th. She underscores having unprotected sex only with Mr. Kaiser during this window. A pregnancy test on April 5th was negative, leading her to conclude the child can't be the other man's, given the timing.
On the 25th of March,
Yes.
you were intimate with the other guy.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep going.
Okay. On the 28th, me and Mr. Kaiser, we got back together. I came back to where he was at with our children. We had unprotected sex on the 28th, the 29th, the 30th, the 31st, and the 1st. And my conception date is the 30th of March. I had sex with the other man before the conception window.
Were you sleeping with this other man unprotected?
No, ma'am.
Miss England asserts that she did not engage in further intercourse with the other man after April 3rd, pointing to trust in her word. She indicates that the baby has a tongue tie, a genetic trait, and emphasizes the baby's resemblance to their 3-year-old. She contends that the baby's characteristics support her belief that Mr. Kaiser is the father, but skepticism persists about the potential genetic traits of the other man involved.
Your Honor, the 3rd of April, I left and went back, but I never had intercourse with that man again.
How do I know that, Your Honor?
You don't know that. You just have to go off my words. That baby's also tongue-tied, genetic trait. That baby looks like our 3-year-old child.
Okay.
Same trait.
Okay.
And you're referring to a medical condition.
Yes, ma'am.
She don't know if that guy's father
That's not
is
true,
tongue-tied.
because
What if the other guy didn't have it?
Dr. McLaurin, a doctor of medical dentistry, is invited to discuss the genetic aspects of tongue tie in the context of the paternity dispute about baby Isaac. Miss England asserts that the presence of tongue tie in both Mr. Kaiser and the baby indicates paternity. Dr. McLaurin acknowledges that research is varied and inconclusive on the inheritance patterns of tongue tie, rendering it a non-definitive factor in establishing biological connections.
We are here today discussing a paternity issue as it relates to baby Isaac. And Ms. England has asserted that because Mr. Kaiser suffers from a certain medical condition, tongue-tied, and her child also does, that's further indicator that Mr. Kaiser is her child's biological father. I know you've been dealing with these issues for a while, over almost 30 years now, if not more.
Miss Jones asserts that Mr. Joyner, her ex-boyfriend, is the father of her 8-month-old daughter, Hazel, and has not contributed to her upbringing. Despite the financial and emotional struggles as a single mother, she contends Hazel needs her father. Mr. Joyner, a U.S. military veteran, firmly believes he is not Hazel's biological father.
Ms. Jones, you claim the defendant is an ex-boyfriend who got you pregnant and now refuses to do anything for your 8-month-old daughter, Hazel.
Yes.
You and your mother petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that he is Hazel's father, so he will finally step up. Mr. Joyner, you say you are a responsible U.S. military veteran who would never neglect a call to duty and are 100% certain you are not her child's biological father.
Miss Jones's mother, supporting her daughter's claims against Mr. Joyner, provides her perspective, stating that her daughter and Mr. Joyner spent time together, sometimes overnight, and she was familiar with their relationship because she would lend her car for their meetings and has even spent a weekend at his residence with them.
Miss Jones, did your daughter ever introduce you to Miss Joyner?
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Joyner, did
Yes,
you know
she did,
anything
Your
about
Honor.
him?
Yes, ma'am. I know the situation because she used to take my car and go over there and visit him and stay sometimes this night and everything with him. I even went over there to his residence, spent the weekend and everything with them, with my other grandson. So that's how I know he's denying it. He's lying, Your Honor.
Judge Lake questions Mr. Joyner about why he spent time with Miss Jones and her mother if it was just a casual sexual relationship, implying a deeper connection might have existed. Despite Mr. Joyner's assertion that they pushed their way in on him, Miss Jones's mother, Clarice, recalls instances where they cooked and cleaned for him, and he expressed appreciation.
Why are you spending time with her mother and her at your house and doing all that if it's just a sexual relationship and you don't care anything about her?
They pushed their way in on me, Your Honor.
No, that's not true.
You say this was just casual, it was nothing, but when a young woman's mother says, I'm over there cooking and cleaning and we going over there.
He even was thanking me for when I was coming over there and stuff and cooking and stuff. He said, tell your mama thank you, I appreciate it and stuff.
When Miss Jones informed Mr. Joyner of her pregnancy, he responded with silence and a promise to call back, which he never fulfilled. Mr. Joyner admits to being aware that he might be the father, but also suspects other men could be due to her alleged relations with coworkers. Will this case cause an absolute chaos in paternity court?
You have many a times.
As far as
I don't know if that was to get me out my drawers or what, but you have many a times.
So what happened when you told him you were pregnant?
I called him and I was like, I got something to tell you. I'm at the hospital. He was like, don't tell me you're pregnant. I said, well, I'm pregnant. And like he just sat on the phone silent. And then he said, I'm gonna call you back. And he never called me back. And I'm just waiting for the phone to ring and no call back from Mr. Joyner.
Miss Jones claims she and Mr. Joyner were in a serious relationship, emphasizing that their co-workers recognized their connection. Mr. Joyner denies the relationship's seriousness, asserting that she chose him as the potential father over other men due to his means. He recalls their association being brief and non-exclusive before her pregnancy announcement.
She seen what it was, you know. And she seen my means of, you know, what I had, and the other guy she was, you know, guy or two that she was sleeping with at the time, and she thought that I would be the best decision.
Or we were together, or we were dating. We were in a serious relationship.
We wasn't.
Like everything was about Mr. Joyner.
Miss Jackson asserts that her ex-boyfriend, Mr. Brown, is the father of her 26-year-old daughter, Tanika, which he has denied since birth due to a love triangle involving his wife. She recently reopened a child support case, claiming Mr. Brown owes $20,624.08. Mr. Brown and his wife contest the paternity, citing his 3-month absence during the conception period.
Ms. Jackson, you've dragged your ex-boyfriend to court to prove he fathered your 26-year-old daughter, Tanika.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim he's denied her since birth because you were caught in a love triangle with him and his wife.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
1 week ago, you reopened your child support case in which you state Mr. Brown owes you $20,624.08.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Livgo recalls a situation where she was intimate with Dwight at his place, and Drusilla, his other partner, unexpectedly entered. Although Drusilla left briefly, Livgo believed Dwight and Drusilla were separated because that's what he told her. The incident occurred at Livego's apartment, and they engaged in unprotected sex.
We was in the back of the room. She came in the door. She said, come on out, let me talk to you. She left, and then later on, we were still in the apartment. I didn't know that he was dating her because he told me that they had broke up.
So you're at the apartment with him,
Yes, Your Honor.
having sex,
Yes, Your Honor.
unprotected. You
Yes.
say Ms. Brown walks in.
Yes,
And
Your
you remember it being Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Drusilla acknowledges Dwight's ongoing affair with Livgo even while being with her. Despite moving to Albany, Dwight continued to vacillate between the two women. Drusilla was aware of his deceit, including trips under the guise of business that were actually spent with Livigo. Amidst this, Drusilla experienced a miscarriage leading to a chaotic moment.
Open the door. She standing up there naked, had my man in my house. So even, he kept fooling around with her, like you say, going back and forth. So
you knew that he kept an affair going with her?
Yeah, off and on, yes. Oh, yeah.
So were you all married at this time?
Me and Mr. Brown had been together for about 3 or 4 years when he started messing with her.
I want to go back to the point where you realized you're pregnant.
We had moved.
A dispute arises about Tanika's last name and who signed her birth certificate. Drusilla acknowledges Tanika having Dwight's surname, but disputes his involvement in providing it, while Dwight denies signing any birth certificate. Drusilla's marriage is revealed, complicating the situation.
She has your last name?
Yes, Your Honor.
That he
Your
didn't
Honor?
give her.
Yes.
So he said he did not sign her birth certificate.
So that's what I want to know.
No, he said, I asked my husband over and over again, did you sign the birth certificate? When Tanika
Your
was
Honor,
born,
I don't know.
Your Honor,
I didn't sign no
let me tell you
papers.
something else that they didn't tell you, Your Honor. When Tanika was born, another man was on her original birth certificate as her father, not my husband.
Drusilla insists Dwight did not sign Tanika's birth certificate and avoids DNA tests. There's no signature on the provided birth certificate. Drusilla presents a timeline starting in 1990, describing multiple instances where they tried to conduct DNA tests and were met with avoidance or refusal from Tanika and Miss Jackson.
You want to tell that birth certificate? This
Now, I do not see
certificate.
a signature on this birth
Because
certificate,
he did not
though.
sign
Because I
it.
didn't sign it.
He did not sign it.
Is that why you're saying she kept avoiding the DNA test?
That's right, Your Honor, that's right. I want to go to the board, Your Honor, and show you something from my maid.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, the first time, it was 1990. I paid money to have a test done for her. She didn't show up. Again, the summer of 90.
Tensions escalate over Dwight's child support payments, totaling $4,800, despite Drusilla's disbelief that he's Tanika's father. Drusilla implies that avoiding DNA tests secures continued support payments. She expresses frustration over a 26-year-long dispute and insists on wanting the DNA test.
You're saying he's paying child support for the child.
He have already,
Let me see that, Ron.
paid $4,800.
And you don't believe he's the father?
No, ma'am. That's the money that he have paid for child support that she said he was never on child support. He never did nothing for her.
You believe she's avoiding the DNA test because she's getting this money.
I figured that she did that because she know that Tanika's not my husband's daughter.
Miss Perry asserts Mr. Davis is the father of her 1-month-old son, Adonis, but he vehemently denies paternity, referencing trust issues and her relationships with other men. She accuses him of avoiding responsibilities and pursuing other women, which he disputes, ensuring a contested debate about Adonis's paternity.
Miss Perry, you claim to have a daughter with the defendant, Mr. Davis, and now you want to prove that he also fathered your 1-month-old son, Adonis. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Davis, you say any trust you had for Miss Perry went out the window once you learned you were not the only man climbing through hers.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you say you're 1,000% certain that you are not Adonis's father.
Miss Perry acknowledges some fault in their complex situation, but criticizes Mr. Davis for inconsistent involvement with their child, highlighting his sporadic visits and eventual departure when the child cries. Mr. Davis confirms some level of involvement, but seems indifferent to the emotional scenes described by Miss Perry. Judge Lake seeks to delve deeper, noting underlying issues between the parties.
I learned my mistakes. Honestly, it happened twice. I know I can't fault him for everything. But at the end of the day, it's not right. I'm not finna be sitting in this little love
So I've never been. So I've never been there for the baby. I have.
Your Honor. He's been there.
Have you been there for the baby, Mr. Davis?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
He was there for her for like the first 6 months. He started slacking off. He'd come every now and then. Every 2-3 months, he'd come pop in for about 30 minutes.
Miss Perry and Mr. Davis met online and began a sexual relationship, resulting in Miss Perry getting pregnant with their daughter, Skylar, after meeting in person twice. Upon learning of the pregnancy, Mr. Davis requested a DNA test, having experienced related issues before. Miss Perry agreed, but refused to pay for it, confident in Mr. Davis's paternity.
Then you met on the internet site, and then you all start sleeping together.
Yes.
And that's when you got pregnant with Skylar, your older daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We saw each other like 2 times. I found out a little bit after that I was pregnant, and I told him that I was pregnant. And he said, well, he would need a DNA test because he's been through that situation before. I said, okay, cool. You can get one all you want to, but I'm not paying for it because I know who my baby daddy is.
Miss Perry expresses frustration and has much to say, reflecting the struggles she's been through. Initially, Mr. Davis requested a DNA test for their first child, Skylar, but never paid for it. Thus, he eventually accepted Skylar without confirmation of paternity. Miss Perry mentions that her son has her last name.
My son has my last name. You have to deserve it just because you push.
Woo, hold on now, Miss Perry. Miss Perry, take a breath. Take a breath.
Because I got a lot to say, and I've been going through a lot.
Look, I can tell you have, and I want to understand it, but you have not taken a breath, and I don't want you to skip too far in the story so that I miss some important pieces as to how two people, I can tell, cared a little bit about each other.
Mr. Davis explains to Judge Lake his rude behavior towards Miss Perry, highlighting an instance where he felt disrespected during a visit to see Skylar. He describes an environment where he's greeted by Miss Perry and several men and shares an incident where she retreated to the bathroom while her sibling misidentified Mr. Davis, calling him by an ex-boyfriend's name.
So explain that to me. You hung up. Why? Why would you do something so rude to a woman you've acknowledged is the mother of your older daughter?
Because every time I come and see the Skylar, when I come up, it's always her on the porch and a group of dudes. And so one day I come over to visit, and when I come, she runs straight to the back room.
Miss Perry defends herself against an insinuation by Mr. Davis regarding a potentially broken window being used by other men to enter her residence. Judge Lake explores this, but Miss Perry firmly denies these claims. She expresses feeling demeaned and devalued by Mr. Davis, especially hurtful given her genuine care for him, and his harsh words make her feel diminished.
It means that somebody had already jumped through this window.
First of all, I live in a neighborhood where the maintenance ain't even good. That's why the window's like that.
All right, correct.
Oh, so you thought the way you got in, somebody else got in too?
Yes.
But they didn't put the window back.
She ain't say nothing about it.
Were you letting other men through the window, Miss Perry?
No, absolutely not. No.
Mr. Roll asserts he is not the father of Miss Gedelian's twin daughters, attributing her claims to infatuation with him and alleging she has exhibited obsessive behavior, like taking unsolicited pictures of him. Miss Gedelian contends that Mr. Roll is undeniably the twins' father, accusing him of abandoning her and their children, causing absolute chaos.
Mr. Roll, you are here to prove you are not the father of Miss Gedelian's twin daughters.
Yes, ma'am.
You say she's infatuated with you, and that's the reason she wants to pin her babies on you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Gedelian, you say there is no question Mr. Roll is the father of your twins. You say he left you with 2 babies and a broken heart.
Mr. Rolla, accused of being the father to Miss Gedelian's twins, claims he was in a relationship when they met, insisting his interactions were friendly, not flirtatious. Gedelian rebuts, stating that Rolla's girlfriend was aware of their dealings, highlighting his cheating. The situation in court oscillates between levity and tension as personal and relational boundaries blur.
No,
Okay.
Your Honor.
You knew that?
Ma'am.
She was well aware. She went through my Facebook and were able to find out where I was at, how to message me. She seen the pictures of me and my ex.
If you had a girlfriend at the time, how did you end up flirting and being in this full courtship thing with Miss Gedelian? Don't get quiet now.
Your Honor, he was cheating.
I'm a friendly person. I get along with anybody. It's hard not to like me.
Miss Gedelian acknowledges the moral complexity of continuing relations with Mr. Roll even after learning he had a girlfriend. Her feelings for him, already entwined, made ceasing their encounters difficult. Conversely, Roll implies that he was transparent about his relationship status, presuming Gedelian understood their entanglement's casualness. Both navigate a blurred line between emotional entanglement and casual interactions.
I was wrong.
Are you using protection?
No, Your Honor.
When you all were having this flirtation, you thought it was a relationship budding, he just thought it was nothing, casual. When did it change?
When he told me he had a girlfriend, I should have stepped back and just, stopped completely. But then at that time, my feelings were already, starting for him, and we just kept doing it.
Mr. Roll admits to intimate relations and expressing feelings to Miss Gedelian while still involved with his girlfriend, creating a convoluted emotional scenario. When Miss Gedelian discovers she's pregnant, she takes the bold step of revealing the truth to Mr. Rolla's girlfriend, navigating through regret and ethical concerns to share this impactful news.
You were having unprotected sex
Yes, Your Honor.
with someone other than your girlfriend,
Yes, Your Honor.
and telling her that you had feelings for her.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that math don't add up.
It don't.
That's recipe for baby making. Let me make sure I'm on point with the facts. You find out you're pregnant, you tell him, you know he feels like it's gonna ruin his life.
Mr. Roll believes Miss Gadelian revealed the pregnancy to his ex out of spite due to his intentional distancing. When faced with the pregnancy news, his doubt over paternity is fueled by knowledge of her ongoing divorce, challenging the situation with additional layers of complexity and potential paternal candidates.
Because you're angry because she reached out to your ex.
I feel like she did it out of spite because I distanced myself from her. I just stopped talking to her. When she would come in my job, I wouldn't really say nothing to her. I just walk away from her. Like,
Your Honor, no,
Trust me, I wasn't buying the public service announcement testimony anyway. So I'm sure that it was out of spite somewhat. But regardless, at this point, when you find out she's pregnant, your ex has been informed.
Mr. Roll disassociates from the babies, citing the involvement of another man in significant birth moments and legal recognition on the birth certificate as his rationale. Miss Gadelian acknowledges this, but highlights her efforts to involve him and his expressed indifference when asked about another man signing the birth certificate and participating in birth events.
I want nothing to do with the babies. I already have, kids. I don't need any more. After a while of trying and trying and trying to get somebody to be there, and they keep telling you to leave them alone, eventually you just leave them alone.
In my mind, as another man on the birth certificate, another man was there for the birth, another man cut the umbilical cord. So in my mind, these are not my kids. If they were my kids, I would have some part.